Well, it's a special honor for me to introduce these people. The first stage show I ever saw at Red Hill in the 1940s was by this couple, and they look just as young today as they did then. Let's say hello to Tommy and Frankie Scott.
Hush your mouth.
Tommy, how are you? Frankie,
good to
how
see
you doing?
Good.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, Bill.
Of the famous Dr. Tommy Scott's Traveling Medicine Show.
That was a few years ago, wasn't it?
That was the 1940s, yes.
Was the 40s,
I
right?
was, I think, 1 year old at the time.
Yeah,
and you were 6?
Right, and I was advertising Herb-O-Lac.
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 My dad used to sell Herb-O-Lac.
I know it.
And one of your salesmen was a fellow named Joel Price.
Yes.
I remember that.
I hadn't seen Joel in a couple of years now.
He's watching tonight.
Is he?
Just say hello to Joel.
Well, hi there, Joel.
Tommy, you've been on the Tonight Show. You've been on the David Letterman Show. You've been interviewed by Walter Cronkite. You've been interviewed by Charles Kuralt on the road. You've been on Ralph Emery's show a number of times. Is there anybody who hasn't interviewed you?
Well, I've been around, but there is a few, and I'm going to try to make them right away.
I understand that one day you might be on the Phil Donahue.
Yeah, I'm up for the Phil Donahue, and we was out in Hollywood. We did Entertainment Tonight, or did you say that?
I didn't say Entertainment Tonight, no.
We was out, we did a movie this year out there. It'll be released right away. The Guns of Obadiah Crawford's the name of it. And while we were out there, Entertainment Tonight came out on the set with us. They shot us shooting the movie.
Was a good-looking gal there with them?
Oh, yeah. I'm telling
Frankie,
you.
I didn't ask that question.
That's all right.
I'm trying to think of her name in Entertainment Tonight, but I watch it very frequently.
Right.
But
that little girl's from Spartanburg.
Is she from Spartanburg?
Yeah, she's from Spartanburg.
She started on Channel 7.
What is her name? I can't think of her
Get me a
name.
number. We'll call her.
Okay, that's the deal.
I'm proud of a new show starting on Channel 32 a week from tomorrow night.
Oh, Rambling with Dr. Tommy Scott, huh?
And it's a brand new show here on Channel 32's offerings.
That's
from 9:30 to 10.
9:30 to 10. And Frankie's in it.
A long time ago.
Frankie, I assume in your first show you'll probably catch up with your first few years.
Right. That's the way it's going to be. Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do on it, Billy. Roy Gaines and I just, we got the idea to go way back, and the Smithsonian Institute dug in a little on my past and so on, and they come to find out that the National Barn Dance at one given time, they thought that was the first television film that was made by country musicians, which is 1952. And all at once, Brother R.W. Moore, my agent, says, why, no, we made the first film, I guess, because if that's what they think's the first, Tommy Scott, made the first film in 1946. 1946. And on some of those shows, we've gone back, I had about 50 of those. And what we've incorporated into Rambling with Dr. Tommy Scott's show, that'll be on starting the 5th at 9:30, as you said, we're going to open up with Back Then, is what it's going to be. And then now, on each show, we'll have an old clip from the old way, a lot of them back in 1940s and the early 50s. And some of the boys and girls that played right around Toccoa here on there, like Hugh Simpson's on it, you know, the fiddle player. And,
yes.
Let's see, Ed Jordan was on.
With the Melody Rangers, who used to be emceed by Chuck Gaines.
You're right,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then, Eddie Williams, the left-hand guitar player.
Right.
And, of course, Frankie's in all of them. And Curly Williams and his Georgia Peach Pickers. And my daughter, Sandra, she was about 4, 5, 6 years old at that time. So you'll see us way back then, and you're going to see us the way we look right now. See?
It's going to be on every Sunday night from 9:30 to 10, right on this channel you're watching. So pass the word, featuring our own. You know, Tommy, I'm proud to say, you know, when a lot of folks make it big and have become multimillionaires, if it be baseball or if it be music, they kind of say, you know, instead of being from Eastanollee, where you're from, they say they're from Atlanta.
Yeah.
But I've noticed that in all the publicity for years, that Tommy Scott has always said he's from Eastanollee, near Toccoa, Georgia.
There's only one time that I ever say otherwise. If I'm way back in the sticks of Canada, way back, or in Newfoundland or someplace, they say, well, now just where are you from? Then I say Atlanta, because you say Toccoa or Eastanollee, you got to go into the whole bit, you know. But then when I start getting closer to home, I'm very proud to say that I'm from Eastanollee, Toccoa, Georgia.
Toccoa. You know, and I can single you out for that, because a lot of people get above their raisings.
Well, this is true. But
you never have.
Well, thank you, sir. I don't want to ever be that way. I don't care how much money I should make in the future or whatever, or how little that I ever have. And I've been going to Canada for 30 years now, and it's always good to come back over the hill in the fall of the year and see good old Toccoa.
What's your slogan? You've played every town at least what?
We've played every place more than once.
More than once. Didn't you tell me you played Wahoo, Hawaii one time?
Yeah, that is correct.
Was it a good show?
Yeah. And I played in London, England, too.
London,
I did Rolling My Sweet Baby's Arms over there. They knew what I was doing.
Well, what did the Englanders think?
Well, they you know, they know it. They know it over there. That's right.
Tell us your schedule coming up pretty soon on your road show.
Well, let's see. We open our new show Sunday the 12th, and we're going to be up in Clayton there for the fire department.
Where in Clayton?
We're at that new Clayton High School.
At the Raven County High School.
Yeah, and they sold over 4,000 tickets up there.
Goodness.
And then we moved down to Elberton, and last time that you caught the show
was in Elberton,
by the way,
Georgia,
a couple of
3
years
ago. Yes.
3 years ago,
yes.
all right. And they've got nearly 4,000 tickets sold down there.
Goodness.
You know, we turned away about 300 or 400 the last time.
Show.
So we invited them to come out to see us at the Armory again. And then we're in Winder on the 14th, Commerce Jefferson on the 14th, and then Cornelia. You know, little Cornelia's done all right. They sold about 3,500
tickets. Is that Habersham Central?
That's the place, yeah. That's out in the country now, but all the people up there know where it is.
It's a nice facility.
Y'all come out to see us. We got a brand new medicine show for you, and we'll have a few bottles of snake oil to sell you and have a big time.
We're going to talk about medicines and home remedies.
Oh, yeah.
And all of that in the next segment of the show.
I'll tell you what, Billy, right now, why don't we tell them to get their pencils out and start thinking, because this is my new remedy book right here, and we just sold out of the 11th printing of this thing, and this is the new 12th printing. Just come in. This is a brand new, fresh batch. Just got them in.
Now,
and we want... I'll tell you what, I'd like to see how many people out there have some old-time remedies that could call in here and give them to us.
If they have remedies for, let's see, arthritis,
yeah,
or rheumatism,
right,
or low blood pressure,
tired, sore, aching muscles, gout, hemorrhoids, liver,
now, you better watch where you're going there, Dr.
Sore, you know, everybody out there watching at one time or another, I'll bet you their grandparents or the old-timers have done put lard and turpentine on them, you know, rub their chest with it for the croup and camphor, you know, and all the old-timers. That's what we want you to get on that phone.
Let
and
me
call.
alert Steve Hanby up front. Steve, we're going to be talking to people who offer old-time remedies. And these have got to be legitimate old-time remedies, like if you used to have snake oil, that's still very legitimate with the Tommy Scott shows. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Call us at 886-0032, 886-9242. The number is flashed upon your screen, area code 404. We'd like to know what your grandparent told you about what's good for the backache, the headache, the toe ache. We'd like to hear from you on this show with Tommy Scott and his wife Frankie with us, because Tommy launches a brand new show here on TV 32 a week from tomorrow night at 9:30. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back with Dr. Tommy Scott, who's been all over the world, and he's got the remedies for most ailments right in this studio. We'll be right back. We've got Dr. Tommy Scott, who inherited the show from the late Doc Chamberlain from many years ago, didn't you, Doc?
Oh, yes, that's been 50 years ago,
50
Billy.
years ago.
Yeah. He showed Toccoa here, and I took my guitar over my back, went up and sung at the amateur contest, and stayed with him a year or so, and he gave me the formula to the snake oil and put me in the business.
And we got the snake oil right here.
Got the snake
Brenda
oil.
on camera number 1 can zero in on Dr. Tommy Scott's snake oil. What's snake oil good for?
Well, it's good for tired, sore, aching muscles, and you know, their medical science says absolutely nothing will cure arthritis, and snake oil won't either, but we always like to say this. We sell it for the relief of arthritis, and you take it, rub it on according to directions. If it don't do everything old doc says, well, we give you money back, and that's a better deal than the undertaker will give you.
What about drinking it?
Oh, no. If you drink that stuff, you'd be hard to catch tomorrow morning. That's for sure.
I'm looking through this. We got some people holding on the phones. We invite you to call us at the numbers on your screen.
There's about 200 different remedies in here.
I'm going to just read one and let you ad-lib to
Throw
it.
one on us.
Early American Home Remedies with Dr. Tommy Scott's last real medicine show for lockjaw.
Yeah.
I know some people who I wish had lockjaw, including the one talking sometime. Fill a pipe with tobacco and cover the bowl with a rag and blow the smoke through the stem into the part affected.
Yeah.
Does that work?
That would absolutely work. And way back in the olden days, if you're sawing wood or chopping wood and you cut your foot or something, why, you'd use soot from the chimney to put it in there to stop the bleeding. However, when it got well, you had a black streak across your foot, you know, and cobwebs, spider webs, was used to stop bleeding. And these things now actually work. We don't recommend them today now. Don't you do that? But it's a lot of fun, and we're not pulling your leg.
We have a lot of doctors watching us tonight,
absolutely. And you know, in fact, I was on WHAS in Louisville the other night, and I had at least a half a dozen doctors call me, and they were telling me some of these old things that their grandparents told them.
I'm going to read one more remedy, and then we're going to go to the phones.
All right.
Nerves in pain.
Yeah.
Take some red snails and ground worms, if possible, out of a burial ground.
Yeah.
Because they are the best. They must be well washed so that no dirt remains about them. Then take some olive oil with 6 ounces of virgin wax and cook the whole together in a small earthen pot over a slow fire, and always stirring it until consumed like an ointment. Then strain it through a white linen cloth and put it into the pots and keep good for use as long as you please. Now, do you take that internally?
No. That is one that you rub on. And,
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, well, I'll tell you another one is, of course, everybody knows about lard and turpentine. And sulfur was one of the greatest things for the itch. You would take sulfur and lard,
7-year itch?
yeah, and mix it together where it'd break out between your toes. Sulfur and lard was one of the old-time remedies for the itch.
All right, let's go to our phones, Doctor.
All right, let's go.
Dr. Tommy Scott. Let's go to line 3. Give us your name, tell us where you're calling from, and what your remedy is. Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Ernest and Bill Floyd and their family sitting by enjoying your show.
Well, we appreciate that, Miss Floyd.
When our babies were sick and had croup about to choke up, well, we use an onion poultice.
Yes.
We didn't have to go to the doctor.
Yes, onion poultice is a good one. I have that in my book.
Real good.
Yes.
Did they save you money?
Oh, did it save us money? We didn't have money to save. We just had to do that.
It was the only way to go back in those days.
Billy?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a Dr. McLean's tape?
Yes.
I would like to have it.
All right.
I sure would appreciate it.
Thank you, Miss Floyd.
I wasn't able to listen to it last Saturday night because I went to a wedding, but I sure would love to have that tape.
Thank you, Miss Floyd.
You run me off one or send it to me, and I'll run one off.
Thank you, ma'am.
Have a happy New Year, Billy.
Yes, ma'am. You have a fine
Those
1986.
cards, Billy.
Pardon?
When you going to draw out those cards for the...
Birthdays? We're going to do that about 10:15.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right. All right, line 4. You're on TV with Dr. Tommy Scott.
Hi, this is Inez Murray in Commerce.
Yes, Inez.
You bring back a lot of memories from talking about the old home remedies.
Oh, thank you. Let's share one from you.
Well, I used to hear my mother talk about putting vinegar on brown paper.
Yes.
And putting it on your head for a headache.
Right.
But that was one of the oldest ones I know of.
Vinegar is a very good medicine, and so is camphor. You know, you could rub camphor on your forehead, was good for the headache.
Uh-huh.
Right. That was an old-timey remedy, too.
Enjoy your program very much.
Thank you very much from Commerce. Good night.
Good night.
Line 3, we'd like to hear from you. The numbers are on the screen. Tell us some of the old-time remedies that you heard your grandparents talking about, and maybe you're old enough yourself to know them. Line 3, you're on TV.
Billy.
Yes, sir.
This is Calvin Jones. I know Tommy Scott real personal. I used to do his lawnmower work, and I'd like to give him a remedy that he's not got in his book or ever heard tell of it.
I'd love to hear it, Calvin. What is it?
Okay. When we used to have the croup, they'd take a piece of fat meat
Yes.
and put it on a fork and hold it over a rich pine splinter and let that grease drip down through that smoke on that, and we'd have to swallow that for the croup.
Yes, that'd clear up your head, too, wouldn't it?
Clear you all over.
All over?
That's right.
I bet you're right.
Another one, Calvin, you know, you're talking about the lawnmowers and so on. If you had a boil on your foot, you could take fat meat and put it on there at night before you went to bed and bind it up with the fat meat the next morning. Why, that would come to a head. It'd look real white. You take your thumbnails on each side and push a little bit, it'd jump right out. I hope nobody ain't eating eggs out there, don't you?
That was good to get the splinters out, too, Tom.
Yes.
Calvin, let me ask you this. This doesn't relate to Dr. Scott's medicine, but it does relate to his pastime. You mean Doc could afford a lawnmower back then?
Well, now, Billy, this ain't been too many years ago. This was when Sears Roebuck come out with their fancy 12 horses that you ride on, you know.
Well, you even telling on him more. He's got a riding lawnmower.
I like never learned how to change gears on that thing.
They sold Billy one that didn't have nothing but a reverse on it, and I had to tear it apart and put it back together for him.
All we had was a sling blade. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you, Billy.
Good night.
Good night.
Quite a sport there.
Yeah.
Line 4, you're on TV with Dr. Tommy Scott. They gave up on the remedy. We're happy to hear from you. 886-0032, 886-9242. All the lines are ringing, and we're happy to hear from you. Tommy, I see that for pleurisy, you take a large walnut shell and go from there.
Yeah, go from there. There you go.
Because I'm not about to say what it says.
Well, did you read the one about making the measles break out?
No, what does it say about measles?
All right, now then way back, now this was more in the 18th century, but this now, a lot of folks will think we're pulling their leg, but this is the truth, and we'll have some calls on it. You would take sheep manure and you boil it like tea and strain it. Then red oak bark, you'd boil the bark, mix it 50-50 together, and take 4 teaspoonfuls a day would make the measles break out.
All right, both lines are waiting, so we're getting a lot of comment. Line 3, you're on television.
Billy, I'd like to tell you an old-timey ribbon.
Let me get your name.
Blanche Allen.
Blanche Allen. Blanche, where do you live?
I live in Toccoa.
All right, you go right ahead, Blanche.
For a rising, you take slippery elm bark, and you pull the bark back, and you scrape that inside out, and you mix it with a little lard, and you make a poultice, put it on a rising. Next morning, it comes to a head.
Doc, is that
Yes, that's in my book too. Sure is. And thorn apple and skunk cabbage smoked in a pipe was good for asthma too. Did you know about that?
No, I didn't. I'm wearing a trach right now in my neck because of bronchitis.
Oh, wearing what?
Bronchitis.
Okay.
All right, my snake oil is good for that.
Snake oil is good for that.
Sure, you just rub down real good with it, and if it don't do no good, then I give you money back.
Okay, I could tell my doctor about that, couldn't I?
Sure you can. I'll tell you another thing. Your doctor could make this stuff up. It's got all of wintergreen in it. It's got all of green soap, and it's got camphor, and it's the 8 ingredients in here. But if you go down and have it made up, it costs you about $15. I'm going to charge you $6, and I pay the postage on it. Can't beat that, can you?
Well, I'll tell Dr. Yates about that.
All right, do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Some doctors don't believe in work anymore. I don't mind saying that either on the air. So they just take the money and get gone. But thank God most of the medical people are very conscientious.
Oh yes, we got to have them. And these remedies here won't do it either, Billy. We're not kicking the doctors. You got to have the hospitals and the doctors.
Right,
but
exactly
some of these old time remedies are still very good.
Still very good. Let's go to line 4. Let's wrap up this segment with one more call. We want you to continue to call us with the old time remedies. Let's go to line 4 and tell us who you are.
Yes, I'm Scott G. from Carnesville, Georgia.
Yes, Scott.
My grandparents always told me that onion syrup was always good for coughs.
Yes. Very good for coughs.
Did you ever try that, Scott?
Once in a while.
I'll tell you a better thing to use with it is a little honey. Honey is a very good medicine. Billy, I'll tell you another thing I bet you didn't know. Honey is the only food that the human body can consume without having to digest it. It's already digested. And why it's a good cough to put, just a couple of drops of turpentine was one of the old remedies on honey. The reason for the honey, it'll trickle slowly down the throat, you see. And it'll clear up the throat.
Scott, you don't sound like you were born in Kernsville.
No, I was born in Gainesville.
You sound like you were born in New York.
Well, I was going to say, it sounds like a Yankee, don't it?
Well, I lived up there for 6 years.
Where?
In New York.
All right, I got
it.
I kind of caught that accent.
There you go.
Scott, good to hear from you.
Good to hear. Okay.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Good night.
We're going to take some more calls in the next segment of this show with Dr. Tommy Scott, who's in the Guinness book and in the Guinness Hall of Fame in Nashville, Tennessee. Talk a little bit about that in a little bit. Let's take a break, and we'll be right back with our special guest, Toccoa and Eastanollee's own Dr. Tommy Scott. They're closed on New Year's Day. Sammy and Beggs is the owner of Devange Music. Here's a remedy, Tommy, for sore throat. Slice a piece of old smoked bacon. The older the better. Is that right?
That is the way to do it. And I'll tell you another thing. When you put that smoked bacon around your neck at night, if the lights all go out, you can always find you in the dark.
How can they get a copy of this very, very slickly produced Early American Home Remedies?
Oh, I'm glad you asked, because we've got over 200 remedies in this book here, and a lot of pictures, old-timey pictures of bottles and what have you, and it costs nearly $1 to mail it out. But I'll tell you what, send me $3, and I'll send you a copy of the book, and I'll send you a picture here of yours truly, and I'll pay the postage and everything. Just address it to Doc Scott. That's D-O-C, Doc, S-C-O-T-T, Box 100, Toccoa in Georgia, 30577.
All right.
And if they want a bottle of snake oil, I'll throw one of them in for $6 and pay the postage.
$6.
Yeah.
Pay postage. All right. Let's go to our phones. And line 3, you're on television. Give us your name and tell us where you're calling from.
My name is Cindy Stevens, and I'm calling from Cornelia.
Yes, Cindy.
I'd like to find out how to get tickets to the medicine show when it comes to Cornelia.
You go to most any of the merchants up there, and they bought a coupon, and you go in and buy a few groceries or whatever from your merchant, and or whatever they sell, and they will just ask them for tickets to see the medicine show, and they'll give them to you, and it won't cost you a penny to see the show. How's that sound?
No, that's fine. When will it be? On what date?
And Cornelia, let's see, let me look again. It's on Thursday, let's see. Clayton is the 12th, Elberton the 13th, Winder 14th, Cornelia is about the 15th, I believe. I left my little card at home. But
Hopefully the 15th. Watch for your newspaper.
Yes, it'll be in the paper there.
Okay.
Thank you for calling.
Thank you.
Good night. Line 4, you're on TV with Doc Tommy Scott.
Yeah, this is James Shelton.
James Shelton?
Yes, it's James Shelton from Cannon, Georgia.
From where?
Cannon, Georgia.
From Cannon. Yes, sir. Go right ahead, James.
I was going to ask the doc there about an old remedy my mother used to give us and everything. She used to take some white corn liquor and everything and put peppermint candy in it, and she'd give us a teaspoonful of it and everything, you know, for a cold and stuff like that.
Well, yes, I've heard of that, but I'll tell you what, if the remedy didn't do any good, you wouldn't remember what happened anyway with that corn liquor, would you?
Well, like I say, you know, she didn't give us much. She just gave us a little spoonful, you know.
Right. I was just kidding about that. You know, another one that the old timers used to use was camphor. They'd take the block camphor and a little pure corn whiskey, and they'd put that in a spoon and heat it over the fire, you know, and it would create heat and so on, and camphor's a good medicine.
Yes.
James, thank you very much.
Yes, sir. And appreciate talking to y'all about that. I watch y'all show every Saturday night. Me and my mother-in-law.
What's your mother-in-law's name?
Miss Anna Jordan. She's sitting here watching you.
Mrs. Jordan. You tell her hello.
Yes, sir.
Good night.
She's 87 years old.
Bless her heart.
She knows some of these old remedies, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, James.
Yes, sir.
Good night. Line 3, you're on TV 32.
Yeah, I got you now.
All right, sir?
Hey.
Yes.
Hey, this is old Buddy Higgins down here in Baldwin, Georgia.
In Baldwin.
All right.
Buddy, do you have any old-time remedies?
Yes, sir. Is that the real Rambling Tommy Scott?
This is, go ahead, Tommy.
You got me. You got me pinned right down. I'm the original old. Just don't use that word old so strong on there, okay?
Hey, I used to go see you down at Baldwin Schoolhouse.
Yes, I used to play Baldwin. The first time, let me tell you something, about 50 years ago, the first time that I ever did, Billy, $100 on the door was in Baldwin, Georgia. It had been about 50 years ago.
Yeah.
I thought I was rich.
So you helped make him rich that night.
That's him. Hey, I really enjoy you there, old Reverend Tommy.
Thank you so much for calling.
Hey, I got one of your first old albums you ever cut.
Oh, is that right?
I sure have.
Well, that's great. We've got some new ones out, some medicine show albums. Maybe you can pick up one of them someplace.
No, I ain't too much for that medicine stuff.
Oh.
I love old Rambling Tommy Scott.
All right. So good you called.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Good night. Line 4, you're on TV.
Yes, I got a question for Doc Scott.
Well, let me get your name and where you're from.
Beth Willis from Toccoa, Georgia.
All right, Beth, go right ahead, please, ma'am.
All right, have you got an old-time remedy for diaper rash?
For what?
Diaper rash.
Talcum powders is about as good as you can find.
It is? Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. How long did it
No, that prescription went in a hurry, didn't it?
The people are calling, and we appreciate very much hearing from them. Do we have line 3 holding? Time's moving on. Line 3 is holding. Let's just go to one more call. Yes, hello?
My name's Jane Stanfield, calling from Toccoa, Georgia.
Yes.
My grandfather lived to be about 95, and he used to put alcohol and chewing tobacco together and rub it on his legs for soreness in his legs.
Yes, I've heard of that, but I've not too much I haven't heard. But the tobacco, I'll tell you one thing, if you have a bee sting, Why, tobacco, just chew up a little tobacco and put it on, and it's mighty good to knock out a bee sting. Of course, for tired, sore, aching muscles and hurting legs, why, my snake oil is pretty hard to beat, too.
Jane, thank you very much. Good night.
Good night.
Tommy, we're going to have to close. We're going to have you back, and you're going to be on every Sunday night, 9:30 to 10 on TV 32 with just a little glimpse of what's happening in country music and home remedies. Tell us about your induction into the Guinness Hall of Fame.
Oh, well, the Guinness up in Nashville, they took a survey and they found that that I have played more different towns than any other country music artist in the world. The key to it, now a lot of them play Vegas for 13 weeks or whatever, and they're playing every day, but we are in 350 different towns a year and have done it for 50 years, and it's a different town is the key to it. So they put one of the old medicine show wagons in the Guinness, and they've got a lot of my snake shoes and my pants and my hat and my medicines and records and everything. It's in Nashville right near the Country Music Hall of Fame, and it's about a 16-foot exhibit there.
Tommy, thanks.
It's been my pleasure.
Thanks for being down home with us.
Thank you. Everybody keep hale, hearty, and healthy, and always wear a smile.
We'll be back with more show. Our guests, Tommy Scott, Frankie Scott, thank them for being with us. We'll be back with more show right after this.